So KPO.
Alrighty. What do you got?
We recording? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So top level. This is a sweet system to work with.
Which system?
The long thread.
Long thread.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. The
okay.
switchboard. The whole switchboard thing
Oh, that's cool.
is so much better. It's so much easier to flip around with
Oh,
because
well, that's
you're
interesting.
not losing. Sorry. We
I was,
expect something else.
yeah, I fucking hate it so bad. I was about to purposefully neuter it by making a temporary drop-down box and a URL parameter so I could say which agent I wanted.
Oh no.
But hey, if you tell me it's all good, it's all good.
Right. Now on my screen at the moment, I don't want to start a new one.
Oh, okay.
But that error, you're saying it's an OpenAI error. That's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
well,
nothing.
what should I do there? Because what happened was I retried the error. I think I retried it like 6 times
Yeah.
in the code. What should I spit out to you at that point?
Well, what would be good is what's happened is I've lost my thread now. Let me share. Okay, so fine. Shit happens, right? And this is force majeure. But now, unless you can tell me otherwise, so what happened was it was sitting there for ages, and I was thinking, oh my god, I'm running up loads of tokens in some kind of loop. So I
Right.
put it on DevTools, and that was the first set of errors I sent.
Mm-hmm.
And then it sat there. About 2 minutes later, it came back with this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm okay with that. Failed 6 times. Okay, right. You can just say,
Oh, but you're like,
call.
can I at least
But it's
have a
like,
chance to click a button again,
yeah,
or can I try it later? Yeah. Okay.
there's no back. I've lost that current thread, which was
Right.
actually quite
Well.
rich.
Okay. So in the right hand side, see where it says thread in the in the console, down, in the yeah, above the errors, it says thread.
Yep.
Right click on that. Right click, just right click right there. Go copy
Yep.
object,
Uh-huh.
and then drop that down in Visual Code somewhere. That's your complete thread.
Okay. B. Oh, just drop it down in a text file actually. Because there you go. Complete thread.
That's the big
Yeah.
dog. I can display that to you in the UI if you send it over to me, if you want that.
Yeah, we can go through it again.
Okay.
'Cause, I can recreate it.
So, but
'Cause we can.
definitely I need to fix it so I can allow a manual retry.
Yeah, and if something goes wrong, the important thing is, it's like I was immediately looking for the back button. It's like, hold on, I've got a tab.
Yeah.
And something went wrong.
Yeah, so the
Lost it.
deeper problem there is that I haven't yet implemented the sharing or the sharing of threads or the restart of threads, just like it was in HAL 1 and HAL 3. So
Yeah,
as soon as I put that in, things will be better. But
yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
yeah,
So the next thing I did was, it's like, oh, go to the thread, and it's like, it's
uh,
generic thread.
no. Okay, what else can
Because
I
that,
do to help you
cause
there?
that, well, that feature itself, just reloading, and then you get back to where you are,
Yeah,
and
there was
no
that
harm,
was
no
an
foul.
unintended feature, right? I didn't actually mean that to happen, but turns out that's useful.
Oh yeah, it's really useful. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a note of that. I'll get onto that soon. So
So
that
now, what we'll do is I'll just. Is there any more information you need from this?
No, that's that I checked the logs. OpenAI flat out timed out. I see no
Right,
faults in their status page,
right.
but and more importantly, that will happen from time to time, and I need to be able to handle that gracefully, which I
Yeah,
did not right there. So,
yeah,
yeah,
um,
lucky
yeah.
it's
And
you.
yeah, or yeah, it's like execute or execute. It's scary. It's all in red. It's like what to do, you know. Uh,
Yeah, that's the error message that I put there to help me, not anyone else.
Fair enough.
So,
Right, I'm going to
uh,
reset this then and recreate what I was trying to do.
okay.
Because, right, well, let's go through switchboard first, right? Because I'll show you what I've done on that. Right. The first thing, uh, well, I'll go through this top to bottom. So, definitions, always definitions. If there's something that you're relying on the bot to know without any kind of ambiguity, has to have definitions. And doesn't have you don't have to define everything, but I found that if you maintain this kind of all caps thing for a definition, it picks that up, and then it's pretty on the button every time.
So hey, I've been dealing with a similar issue where I need to do navigation across
Mm-hmm.
the dimensions of repository ID, um, repository ID, repo name,
Mm-hmm.
branch, and then file path. And what I'm like, well, do I have to teach a bot how to know about all those things? And if I do all bots need to know about that? Or can I package that up where there's an agent that the agents actually talk to? And so the question is basically these definitions start to overlap.
Yes. So the rule of thumb I've been going with is if you have to, under all circumstances, have the bot to understand exactly what you're talking about, you put it in the definitions of that bot. They don't need to be um, uh, deconflicted. So, for example, there's a switchboard. A switchboard were to go into, I don't know, sewing bot, and they're talking about threads. The definition there would be taken as priority because it's in sysprompt, and it's like you don't pass that over, even though
Mm,
it's using exactly the same name. But if you're relying on that name
mm.
inside of the sysprompt, it has to be definitions because what it does otherwise is it goes out to its general knowledge to try and figure out what a
Yeah,
thread is,
right. Okay.
and then it gets ambiguous and woolly and rubbish.
Okay.
Um, so the next part,
Have you experimented with rewriting the user's query using the definitions before proceeding to respond?
yes, but I found
How much
that
promise is
was.
there?
Um, I don't think we need to do that because if there's a rich enough definition, it gets it. For example, it will pick up the thread, a set of prompts and responses. That, so I've not defined a prompt. I've not
Okay.
defined a response. But if you say the conversation, well, I've used conversation. You know, what did I just ask for? It kind of gets the idea that you asked for something that was in the conversation, and therefore I'm talking about a thread.
All right. Okay.
So that rewrite isn't necessary for I don't know. It's like a pre-step. I don't think that's necessary, but in some areas it might be. But
Okay.
yeah, I've tried it, and it's like it didn't really generate anything more than just more tokens. So the second thing, so I've rewritten these and gone through a few cycles in order to tighten them up.
Mm-hmm.
But so two things: rules and guidance. So rules are, you are to do this. Just sod off with your creativity. You will always do this. And then the guidance is like, use your own judgment. And that.
I see. Yeah, that's cool. So rules are like the law. Guidance is like.
Yeah, you might get an edge case if you do an edge case. If
Right.
it just says something like that sounds like, it says something that sounds like request for persuasion.
Oh, I recognize those statements.
Yeah, that's one of yours. By default, keep the current agent unless a switch is clearly needed. Like, but by being so take the switching problem, because it was switching too much, right? Carefully consider the thread you've been given. Okay, so what that does is what it appears to do, it takes in that thread, and I'm saying carefully consider the thread. I'm saying it may include different topics, and it's like, okay, right, got it. Then, given the most recent topic, decide whether the last prompt in the thread also relates to that topic. If so, you are to remain within the current agent. Okay, so now we've got, it's a rule. If you're talking about the same thing, stay in that thing, don't switch. If the last prompt indicates a change to the topic, you're to select and return the most appropriate agent. So if you're talking about something that's gone on previously, that's fine, but don't go off in one. If I've talked about it before, I've talked about, sewing, Lamrock and Josh, sewing, and I say, right, I want to find out recipes. Then it knows that that's a topic. And that seemed to work quite well, actually, although I've not tested that fully yet. The last prompt to the previous topic, not the most recent. You have to consider that topic and select and return the most appropriate agent based on the combination of the prompt and the content of the topic. Which again is to do with dampening down the switching.
Dampening.
Yeah. When selecting it, you have to consider each available agent, rank them in priority. Now that got.
That's good. That's real good.
Yeah, it's like they all might be a bit right, but what's the most right?
Okay, so give me a second. Then a way that we can expand that further is that the agent switch function can be modified to take a rank of like the top 3 as well, so that we can see what the rank was, and it makes the bot lay it out.
Yeah, that'd be really helpful actually. Close misses are the thing, because
it gives you, it helps you know that you were nearly there as opposed to you were completely wrong.
Right, and at that point as a user you can go, I need to teach my switchboard more closely, or more likely I'm actually going to have to tighten up my language.
So that would come that would come after the reasoning. So I'd go reasoning, and it would lay out why it thought the different things, and then the ranking.
It's almost like, it's like the also rans. It's like I also considered these other bots. Here's why. Let's take the top 3, but
top
no more
3.
than 3.
So modify the function to pick the top 3.
Yeah, and a quick reasoning about why number 1 was why number 2 wasn't chosen. It's a better way of saying it. It doesn't have to be 3. If it was a slam dunk, then it's like priorities number 1. It's obvious.
Okay, so sorry once again. The first thing we get the bot to write is the rank list, and then
yep.
Is that what I said, or what you said?
Yeah. Well, we've got the reasoning and so on, but just if there's an area at the bottom, it's the also considered.
But so what we're leveraging in the bots there is that making them write that out before they conclude something causes a better result. And I'm confused right now as to where in the sequence of writing out what is the optimum place to put this function call, before the reasoning, or is it something you want to know after the choice has been made?
It's no, I think it's the last thing.
So this is really just debug data.
Yeah.
It's not designed to influence the bot's performance in any way. It's simply there to give us insight as to what it almost chose. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And what was okay? So what was the piece you said about wanting to know the reasoning about the also rans?
Yeah. So what this listed priority, I'll need to alter this as in and consider your reasoning. If you were to output, say if you had a close miss, say if there's like 3 bots that possibly could do this, I'm choosing number 1 bot, right? Fine. But it's almost like the also rans. And it's like number 2 was this. I didn't choose this because.
So in the parameters, you're asking? So the function call happens as is, and then I add an extra function parameter that is the ranked list of also rans, and then you want another set of reasoning that's purely debug as well that says why.
Well, I'll just put them side by side. It's like
or in the same one.
Also
Okay.
considered this bot, and here's why it wasn't number 1. Also considered this bot. Here's why it wasn't number 1.
Yep. Okay. So I'll share my screen and I'll do that right now so that you can see what I do when I do that.
Yeah. Cool.
I will speak it out loud as though it was my own debug happening as well. So, first of all, I go into the isolates agents. Then I look for the Zod schema for switch. Here I have the reasoning function. And now I'm going to add after the choice has been made. So this is purely debug data. I'm going to add the rank.
Yep.
Or is it? It's also rans, right?
Yeah.
Also considered.
Yes, also considered.
And that's going to be an array. And it's
it could be an empty array if it's slam dunk.
Right.
So didn't even consider anything else. But
okay, so it's an
that are interesting.
Okay, and it's going to be an array of objects where the object is gonna object where the array is going to have the path to the agent and the reason. Yeah. And what is the reason?
The reason is
what is the name of the reason? Like, what is the purpose of the reason?
Oh, well, what's wrong with reason?
No, because reason needs a bit more depth. That's all.
Really, what I'm looking for is like a single line. Let me give you a concrete example. If I can switch.
No, I don't need that. I just need you to tell me what the description of the reasoning is.
It is something along the lines of I considered this, which is implied. I didn't use this bot because.
So the way to say that is the reason why this agent was considered but rejected. Good.
Yeah.
Also considered, and the array is going to have a maximum length of.
I would say more beyond 3. You're just going to get a whole bunch of completely inappropriate, not even considered.
Yeah.
And I'll need to update the sysprompt to give it numbers because I just asked it to rank by them in priority, but didn't tell it anything more. So that's easy enough to do.
Object z.array. Oh dear. Now my Zod skills, they are lacking. Up comes the manual. Min-max length, that's the thing we want. Array dot maximum 3, okay.
Yeah.
Max
And,
3. But is it optional?
It's optional, as in it could be minimum 0.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
a slam dunk.
All right. So does that look good then?
Reason why this agent was considered but rejected. Yeah.
Alrighty. Cool.
See
So that's in there, and now to get that up, you'll need to modify the prompting, but
it won't be a big modification. In fact, probably could do that on the fly.
No,
just to give it.
Okay, here we go then. So that will deploy, and we should see it available on the platform kind of right now.
As is, if it's done a sensible thing, but I'd like to.
It probably will, dude.
Yeah, because it's a rule. It really behooves you to be very specific with rules, because like, oh right, I've got to do this. But in this case, I've said rank them in priority. I haven't said what good or bad is. I haven't said whether 1 is best or 10 is best or anything like that. So if it goes a bit dually, then I can pistol whip that.
It does amazingly well, honestly. These bots do just so incredibly well, given the vagueness.
Yeah, I think it'll probably do fine.
All right, so that is the new deployment coming online, and we're online. So that's how long it takes to go from commit to deployed on the platform.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, you want to pull up a long thread and, well, actually...
Do the honors? Sure thing. Okay, what am I going to do?
So before you do that, actually, sorry.
I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I had an instruction and then it was torn.
I just realized I was going through the changes to the prompt, and I didn't finish that because we got to an interesting thing. So I'm going to grab the screen, if that's all right.
Sure.
What's etiquette for grabbing screens? You just do it.
You just do it.
Yeah.
No one's got time, you know.
Yeah, we talked about guidance, rules and guidance. Now, the next thing was files. Right. Is the first thing.
So this list here. Now you've written that by hand, which means that every time an agent changes, it needs to be updated by hand.
No, No, I've not actually written that by hand though. I imported each of the system prompts and asked it to give a high-level intent of what the system bot is for, and then I just cut and paste.
Okay, so, but either way, that's a build step or some sort of a dependency update. You mentioned earlier that you wanted this to be pulled from the description. Is that still your wish?
I think that's worth discussing.
Well, I think that it's better because what should happen is when you write an agent or modify the file, that should automatically trigger a summarization or a describing step that would then update the description within the file after the file was written, and that would cause your...
I think that's the right way to do it.
And then this thing's just going to haul all these things in at runtime, right?
Yeah. Now, what I was unsure of, so these descriptions made the world difference.
Yeah, I'll bet. I just didn't have the patience. I was like, I can't.
You had nothing in files at all.
Yeah.
No, it was blank. All we said is, there's a thing called files MD. It's like, you're not being nice to the bot, sir.
That's your job. You are the bot keeper. I make this code. You make the bot.
So there's a couple ways to go. There's a step, because everyone has their own switchboard, as in everyone has the agents that essentially adding to the list of available agents is a similar thing to installing an app, right? It's now available to you.
Maybe. This switchboard sounds like it can become an incredibly complex piece of machinery because the switchboard itself could be somewhat dynamic or just in time.
Well, but Matru is saying that everyone has their own switchboard, as in...
Correct. Switchboard, I think, is one of the core preferences that each user will adapt for their uses.
Right, and there's some parts of the index of available agents that everyone has to have, otherwise it's just not going to work.
Yeah, like we got to draw the line somewhere and be like, this is our best effort. If you can do better or you don't like it, then, change it, let us know, and we'll consider it.
Right, exactly. And then say someone comes along and saying, I'd like to get access to Hammer, please. By saying, I'd like to get access, really what you're saying is you're making Hammer available to the switchboard to switch to, otherwise.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. Like, Hammer doesn't belong in this list, I don't believe. Because...
okay, where would switchboard know that you're talking about Hammer now?
Switchboard needs something like an app launcher, because when Hammer runs, it runs in a completely separate thread, whereas Switchboard is running on a single thread and it's swapping in and out the agents. Running Hammer means swapping out the thread. This is I gotta tell you, man, this has been the most surprisingly complicated piece of the whole thing from 2013 to now. This piece has been I want to say a lot of bad words, but basically the hardest part. And I think this is the place where the battle happens continually. Like, this piece will haunt us for years.
I think so, and there's a number of different patterns you could go with here, right? So you could have the available agents in Switchboard. Switchboard is the same. Let's say if there's like a bootstrap switchboard that knows about Dumbot, knows about system, and so on, and if it's where does it default to? If you ask, it's like, can I talk to my CRM?
It needs an app launcher. It needs a bot that knows about your other apps, because an agent isn't an app.
The trick there though is, say if I say I want to talk to Hammer,
right?
We've also got the default of Dumbot.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is Hammer an app? We could get it to go and like search all your installed or your available apps in a separate agent.
I think there's an agent that deals with installed apps, and the App Store, and that agent knows that it knows what you've logged into and authenticated with, and it's like, Hammer, okay, I know this one. This is the CRM, and blah 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 blah. Okay, you're off, and then it calls the function that loads that thread up, and then your screen changes, and now you're in Hammer. But there's also an agent that deals with the App Store, which is like, hey, I found the perfect app for you. Do you want to run it? And then it's like, yes, okay.
And then there's the stuck bot saying you've asked for an app that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And
then
we'll go there.
To confound things even further, there's also the ability to add a new agent to the switchboard that runs, because the switchboard is acting like an app. It's the HAL app, the home app, the base app. And Switchboard should allow you to pull in different agents in that as well from a curated set of HAL agents. You want to make your own HAL, go for your life. But we're going to publish a version that we think is the best, and you can modify the agents that come in and out based on ones that we've tested to work well together.
Okay, so talk me through a narrative in this one. So I've got a switchboard that deals with the base moving around files, all that kind of thing. And I asked for something that is not in that base set of agents.
Yeah.
Take Hammer.
Yep.
Now, at the moment, what would happen is if it didn't know anything about Hammer, if it didn't know Hammer existed, it would go out to either how-to, Dumbot, or how3 if you're a bit vague.
Or App Store if it sounded like you wanted an app.
Right. So what we need to do there is add in an agent here, which is so the switchboard is actually the same for everyone, but includes your installed app agent saying, here's what we've already got installed. That's personal to you. So it's the Delta. So switchboard kind of does the triage of the DOS level, and then there's another agent that's saying, you got these apps installed. Let me deal with it.
Yeah, and so there's a key feature that we need to introduce between all these agents is that if an agent is going to be part of a switchboard, it is very helpful if that agent can call the switchboard too. So, for example, switchboard might be like, oh, that's this guy wants Hammer. Okay, I'm going to pass you to the installed apps agent. The installed apps agent would fire up, do some queries, realize that it's got no idea what it's talking about, and then would want to switch, without asking the user, switch to the App Store, because that's the best move.
Say that again more slowly, because it sounded quite profound. Say that again.
Making switchboard agents are a special kind of agent and they should be aware that they're being used in a switchboard, which means that they should have the ability to call the switchboard if they realize that they are not the best agent for the job, but they know who is. A simple example is the agent that deals with the installed applications might quite plausibly be selected by switchboard and then use the database to query what installed apps there are, realize there's no suitable match. The correct handoff is to call the switchboard to switch over to the App Store agent to go looking for an app that can meet the user's needs.
Okay, so here's a thought on that. The switchboard, we can say here is your list of DOS agents. Go through those first. And if you can't find it in those, because you're still in the same kind of context, then open up this file, this MD file, which is simply a list of the index of available agents, and exactly the way it's put down here. To look through those.
Yeah.
And you can't find it, you come back, and then you can pick up whether you want to go to how2, how3, depending on what's best. But essentially, it's an expansion of this. So we move Hammer, for example, into another file, reference that file, and say, okay, add these available agents into this, because then you've got the previous thinking. You got one bot that's thinking about the priority. It's like, okay, so you're not talking about files, you're talking about something to do with hammers. Is you talking blacksmithing, or are you talking about CRMs? It's like, okay, so pull in your list. It's like, oh, right, Hammer. That's what he's talking about. And then he's there. And then when you're inside a Hammer already, switchboard, when you're talking to Hammer, you can switch back.
Yeah, so there's a separate thing that we had called M that's always watching whenever you've been deferred. So I've started calling when you're in this base thread, and when it determines that you need to be talking to another thread because that's what you wanted. The example being hammer, a thread within hammer.
Yep.
M watches everything going through the system and determines when you want to exit from talking to hammer and come back to talking to the base thread.
Right, exactly. But that that skill or that functionality is inherited regardless of which bot you're talking to. So M is always there. You're talking to hammer.
M is as soon as the only time the M doesn't get called is when you're talking to the base thread. When you're focused on the base thread, there's no need to call M. But anytime we call you in this deferred mode, M will be there to make sure you weren't trying to exit and come back.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that I suggest the way to do this, because the functionality is still there, is already there, isn't it? You can put in the reference, which I think you talked about in the last call.
To reference a file.
Reference a file. Here
so let me show you
extra agents.
Yeah, there's something different that I came up with for you in that regard.
Mm-hmm. God, man, I'm having so much fun on this one. You don't believe. It's brilliant.
What I've come up with is I think it's easiest for you if I give you this extra ability, which is where inside the markdown, if you follow this format of going isolate : / then every time I load this agent, I will call that function and populate. I will replace this text string with the function result. And so the function result could be something like list all agents that are part of this switchboard, and then it would run the query on all the agent files, read out the descriptions, bring them back in an array, and then drop them into this file.
How is that different from the commands? So if you go to file MD,
the difference is that this is run and returned before OpenAI is sent it. This is the system prompt, and I am changing the system prompt. So here's a simple example that'll probably really make the thing sink home. Is I can be like, this thing is, I go, the time now is, and then I go, the comment doesn't matter, but I go isolate, utils now, and then I say time zone 0. So
right, and you can pass in information into this. For example, what's the weather? I wanted to interpret that as what's the weather in Scotland, my location, and if my location is available in the thread, or No.
Like that's not. This call doesn't touch the thread. This is a pure software function call.
So you can't pass any parameters in.
You can pass parameters, but you can't. You can't.
Parameters that are baked.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So like the weather call that you're talking about, I think that is much more better as a tool call. But this is really like populating the agent with things that either time permit, like it needs to be a quick thing, or it's a very stable thing, like the agent list.
Okay, so as an example, let's see if we get this right. So say if I wanted the weather, there could be a util that just gets my location from a config file. And it says, what's the location in Scotland, without me having to say Scotland.
Yep. That could be. I could write you a util for that. Yep.
That sort of thing. Okay,
but so long as you can address it as a pure function that can be called, when this function gets called, it has access to the file system. It can read the thread. So sorry, I need to correct that. I could write these utils to read the thread and to do something based on the thread. It could also make an external API call or whatever. It's just
But it can do anything that code can do.
it can do anything that code can do. Yep.
Right. So
It's just that it gets resolved before the AI doesn't choose to call it. The author of the agent file decided that it needed to be called before the agent was run.
Yes. Okay. And the agent would be given that, saying, "Here is your payload. Do this with that."
So, and I think that what that means is I can ditch all this kind of stuff because there's no need to have this complicated config if I give you the power to just call isolates directly. Like, you can do anything anywhere at that point.
Yeah, because you're essentially inserting into the prompt the result of a determinate
Yeah.
function.
Yeah, exactly. You're inserting into the system prompt the result of making a function call, and so listing the agents in the switchboard would be done in this way, so that the list was always fresh.
Right.
And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if we had a separate file saying, "Here's the things that you've installed and got permissions for," and someone else has dealt with that, but here's a file that lists them all, then in the switchboard, it's like, here are the available agents that you always have to have, and an isolate call then inserts, here are the functions that you've got installed.
That's right. Well, here's the agents you've got installed.
You consider it in the same thought process, in the same context as all the isolates. Sorry, all the agents.
Yep.
And you get a good result. Yeah, that's cool. I think that's the way to do it.
That's useful, right? Like that
is useful, especially in this switchboard example. That's very useful, because what that allows us to do is we can keep control permissions-wise of the switchboard, while having this separate list of things that you've installed, which might change. You might delete things. You might add things or whatever, but that doesn't require us to have multiple duplicates of all the other prompting around switchboard.
Yep. Okay, so and I'll delete this prompt additions option, right? Because we don't need that if we've got these functions in there.
Because then if time is important in
right.
a particular agent, you just say, isolate time.
Right, but most importantly, you get control over where it gets inserted in the prompt, whereas the other way, I could only really add it at the bottom without, I didn't know any way to insert it other than at the end. But here,
so you can do some quite interesting things here. So here's a thought. For example, take time. You say because you're handing it off to a bot. And the bot has got some kind of context or topic. If the user has said he's traveling, then or saying which time zone he's in, then use that time zone. Otherwise, assume it's, and then this is your time at that point. Because the first one is like, I'm flying to Ukraine. Or I'm in Ukraine, and okay, so that is a command to go and fetch what the time is in Ukraine, but otherwise assume it is just that.
I don't know if I could do that, because that decision you talked about requires an AI call. I could set this up to do an AI call, but I would like to discourage that at the start, because these need to be quite quick to load.
Oh, no, I wasn't suggesting that. What I was suggesting is if take time now is this, that gets translated into the time now is the result.
Yeah.
In natural language. But you could top and tail that inside of an agent. saying,
So you just modify the prompt to say, if
something
so.
like,
So what you're really meaning is like, if you think the user is in another time zone, use that.
yeah, call the command. Otherwise, the time is, and then it gets expanded. It's probably the
Okay.
best word for it. Get expanded to the time.
Yeah.
Which would be a valid prompt.
Right. Okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So I think that's the way to deal with the kind of hammer thing we were talking about.
Yep.
Now, well, this also relates to the descriptions, right? Because each description you could write and isolate. If each agent had a section that was well formed, you could just do a grep on it with description, and then the description moves away from the switchboard into the definition of the agent itself. The agent itself benefits from knowing its own description.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But you just grep it into
the agent. I wasn't planning to give the agent access to its own description.
Oh, why not? I mean, it's
where would I put that? Because you got the prompt. Where else do you want it to go?
Just stick it at the very first thing. One of the first things.
Well, why can't you do that?
Well, one of the first things usually do is what are you here to do? It's like your overall intent is to do this.
Okay, so
it would require, if it was going to be an isolate, it would require it to be well formed.
Okay, these sound like the weeds that we got lost in. This functionality, it seems clear that it works for you, it works for me. Let's get it installed, and then we can dive into the weeds of where it goes.
Yeah, let's pop up one level then, which was, okay, so we're sorting out that there are some, in switchboard, there are the kind of, the OS level agents that are always available. You can't do anything about that. You can't mess around with switchboard. And then here's your install stuff. The description, at the moment for expedience, I'm putting inside of that switchboard, but you could put that in. You could put the descriptions of your install stuff inside of the file.
So we'll clean that up to be pulled in from the description in the agents, and then we'll add to the agent generator a summarizing call whenever it writes it out.
Yeah, but my question is, for now, where to put those descriptions? Because the descriptions are the thing that made the real difference here.
Yeah, for now, you're going to have to just leave them in the switchboard bot until I give you this extra functionality.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, happy with that. And yes, it's interesting how well improved just by taking the system prompt and saying, describe what this is intended to do. And it was a dumb bot that I asked, actually, to do that. And it's like,
yeah, that's cool. Okay, so where do we carry on? You want to keep going over that prompt with me, or do you want me to start using it, or are you done with that?
Well, yeah, I'm done with the prompt. So
okay,
the
cool.
General strength now.
Yep.
The what I was going to do is, well, it's up to you. What I've got is the. It's probably not that interesting now because I think it's already been solved. But my very first, without changing anything in the switchboard,
yeah,
kept on going back to system.md for some reason.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you made the switchboard much better, and now it should work quite well, right?
Yeah. And can I recreate what I was trying to do before I got that crash, or that,
Yeah. Sure.
Bombed out. Let me take over the screen. Oh, I can. Yeah, 2 secs. Where is it?
Oh, look at this. Here's the also considered output.
Aye. This agent deals with CRM string, which is unrelated to tests. So this
My
is,
prompt was what tests have I got? And it shows the test file runner.
And where's go back to what it also considered but rejected. So this agent deals with CRM string, which is unrelated to tests. This is a general purpose bot, but the request is specific. This agent handles contradictory or incomplete information which is not. Yeah, that's not bad actually for a star for 10.
It's not bad.
That's not bad at all. Okay,
so what I'm the things I have to show. Oh, can we move on to? Oh, you're recreating. Sorry.
No. That's more show and tell. Tell me what you've been up to doing. Or what
Okay, so yeah, so the stateboard has been really messing with my head. Before I go into that, I'll tell you what other features I added to the platform. Inside of agents, the agents isolate, I gave you the ability to write agent files. So inside of CreatorBot, you can read, write, and update agent files, and it will throw an error if you didn't format the agent files correctly.
Oh, that's interesting, because that's actually what the show and tell is about. Okay, let's go back and try that after you go through the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, so if you add... Yeah, all that's doing is it's sort of wrapping the files read, write, and update functions with a check that makes sure it's a valid agent format. The other addition that I've made is to...
Where does it get the valid format from?
That's by checking the schema that I showed you for what an agent is with like config, are the tools all valid commands?
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And it's helpful in prompting, saying, "Oh, you've forgotten to say whether there's any commands or not."
Well, it'll throw an error, and then it will. The error I tried to be it's a schema error, so it'll say what was wrong with the schema, as well. And then I added this command called config, which a bot can use to just change the config. So instead of having to write out the whole file again, it just makes changes to the config that are quite surgical. So if you want to change the model, if you want to change the description, like right. the describing bot would use that.
Yeah, it precisely inserts, that part of the config.
Yeah.
Inside of the,
yeah. And so inside these calls is where I will make the summarizing call, where it calls a summarizing agent to make the description of it. Possibly, if that's where you want it to happen, or it can be a separate bot that just goes through, does the summaries, checks the summaries, and then uses the config tool to surgically change the config or the description within the config of each agent.
Okay, let me think about that one offline.
Okay.
I suspect what we want to do is every time you commit a change to a bot, you want to rerun the description.
I suspect that too.
And then that needs to be percolated up to everyone who's got it installed.
That's separate. That's the upgrade process for anything. That's
yeah, exactly. You don't. Yes, because it's never polite to upgrade without your permission. Yeah.
So, and the other thing I added was, so remember there was the files had this update ability which let the bot choose to use a regex to just surgically update a small piece of the file.
Yeah.
One of the faults I observed was that sometimes that regex was too broad and there would be multiple matches within the file would be selected, which may or may not have been what the bot meant. Because if you replace all the I's in this file with we, then you want a lot of matches, and the bot should know how to do that. But
Well, yeah, but that reflects real life, right? You do a
Yeah.
you a grep on a file saying change all
yeah,
X to capitalize, and then attribution now has capital A, capital T,
yeah,
and then the rest was weird. Yeah.
yeah. So I added the parameter of expected matches. This is a technique I notice allows me to have greater safety when I'm asking the bot to make a tool call that changes the file system. If I get it to declare something very delicate about what it expects to happen, like the expected matches of the regex, then I check that in the isolate and I error if it doesn't happen as expected. And so it's basically just a technique to push back on the bot when things don't go precisely as the bot intended.
That's kind of cool. Did it work? Does it work?
I haven't tried it. I just made it, and
Kind of cool if it does work.
yeah. So that's a tool that I'm giving to you to play with. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
What else was there? What did I message you about? Because I can't see that without leaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, actually, I've got another way.
Bring it up. These are all their errors we were talking about. And then, well, whether New Zealand's going to war, I don't think they are.
I think we are. I've never seen that battleship leave the harbour.
It's not a battleship, it's a frigate.
Well, it's the biggest
it's
battleship we have.
Ones.
It's the only one.
Yeah.
It's
It's a pretty ballser frigate actually. But now it's I mean, where are you guys working at the moment? You're in Ukraine, Somali Islands, I think, for some reason.
I don't know what we're doing there.
Yeah, I don't think that one.
All right, so I got so Dumbot's up. You found that already.
Yeah.
Create a bot with agents functions.
Back up now. Your comment. I need some help to make the switchboard more sticky.
Oh, that's done. Yeah, that's excellent turnaround on that one, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
I do some functions.
I think we're good.
The agents isolate. I think we covered
Right.
it.
So, yes, I made this change. Now, the stateboard isolate has this schema in it that the bot can call. First of all, as usual, the reasoning. The process ID, this is the bit that I'm nervous about. It so far seems to work okay, but PIDs include the repo ID, the repo name, the branches, and the file path, and possibly the commit. So it's kind of like...
Are they true for all time, or do they jump around, or...
They change. That's I think what's doing my head in, because, yeah. The commit, the path, and the widget. Okay, so where I first tried this out was in the files agent, where I added this function stateboard show. Then when I ran it, if you'll excuse the messed up colors and everything, it runs like this. So, how do I hide that thing?
Never get a career in interior design.
That's rude.
I'm actually feeling some low-level pain.
Yeah, well,
those colors.
I was using it so I could see how the layout goes, because what I want to change to is making it so that I get rid of this scroll bar, so that the prompt is here, but the messages has the scroll bar. So there's a scroll bar here that allows the messages to change, and then the stateboard stays fixed in place. That's where I'm heading with it. So you caught me at a bad time because obviously the colors and stuff. But
that sounds reasonable.
but this is the so what files have I got? Okay, the switchboard decided to use the files agent. Then the files agent called ls, and then it output that. But what I really wanted was I had to kick it again to say show me, which caused it to stick to the files agent, but then the files agent did what I wanted and called stateboard show. And here it said stateboard show file explorer, and then added some shit on the end there. But importantly, it triggered the stateboard to now show this file explorer widget, which doesn't.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought that was part of your environment. That's a widget. Nice.
That's a widget dynamically loaded in the stateboard based on a function call that a bot made.
That's nice. I love that.
And the idea being that when the bot chooses different parameters for that stateboard show function, such as some of the parameters that are exemplified here, like a different file path or a different widget, where the list of widgets is so far limited to TPS report, file explorer, markdown editor, branch explorer, commit graph, commit info, threads, and repos. Haven't built all those bits yet, but they're pretty straightforward things. And then the idea is that the stateboard can be stacked, so the bot can choose to have a stack of widgets. For example, this is the file path, but it might have asked for it to first render the branch explorer, and then underneath that render the file explorer, because now I don't know if that's too complicated for the bots to do, but I'm really giving it the ability to pick to have multiple widgets presented together where the functionality can be where the user probably wants several widgets at once sometimes, and other times doesn't.
Yes, and the bot should be able to dismiss widgets.
Correct.
In that you've not talked about your file structure for a while. Now you're talking about a file. And so it's like, we'll get that back and we'll get rid of that. That's fine. And the user should be able to dismiss widgets. Maybe that's like just literally clicking and dismissing. Preferably it would be entirely done by the bot, saying you're no longer interested in this part. I like the stack idea. That's quite nice.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I've been doing, and I'm sort of trying to reason my way through concepts like having history of widgets, making a dedicated UI element so that when inside messages, when you call stateboard show, it will be its own dedicated UI element so that you can click on it again and it will bring back the stateboard as it was then, which lets you scroll your message history and hit these stateboard changes to then show the stateboard at each different place.
Yeah,
I'll see how useful that is, though. Other integrations I'm toying with are see how this is agent's files. All I've given you there is the name of the agent. I haven't allowed you any way to easily see what the agent markdown file was, what it was like when it was loaded at that time, because it might have changed. If the thread is like a day or two old, there might have been a difference in the file agent that loaded yesterday versus the one that's loaded now. So you want to see exactly that. And I was messing around with having complicated things where you click on it and then you get a modal or you get all this and that. And then I was like, oh, I should just show it in the stateboard. So where I'm planning to go is that if you click on the agent, it'll change the stateboard to open up it'll use the stateboard to show the agent. And then you just deselect it to go back to whatever the previous stateboard was. You don't like that?
No, I think it's nice, but it's see if I change one adjective in an agent between first and last.
Yep.
And then he went, oh, go back to first. It's like, okay, so now I've got that. What am I going to do with that? It's like, there's just one adjective. So I'm back to hunting and pecking. It's like, what was changed and so on. So I'm not sure I'd use that tool, to be honest. Being able to see the agent. Beyond actually just asking files to show me the agent now. What would it do? I would ask it.
Well, the idea is that it's not really the feature of it being able to show you the differences between agents and agents during calls was not the point. The point was that if I just want to take a quick glance as to what the contents of the file's agent is, and then in that display icon, I should have a button that allows me to edit that in a new sandbox environment. So I'd click edit, which would cause the prompt to fill out that says edit files, agents files in a new sandbox. Go right now, bang. And then
okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
So it just lets you it's just sugar, really, because you and I, I don't know what the contents of the files is. It's hard for me to dig that up from this point, but you and I need that rapidly. And so, yeah, that's what that was about.
Yeah, it's the where I've used that is two things, I think. Confirmation that I've just written to this agent, did that byte. So I've done this a couple of times.
Yeah, right. You want to know, which agent am I using, right? And so that's where that's sort of useful.
Yeah. And the second thing is something weird's changed. Can you give me the diffs between two?
So that would be more like you would select that, and then you would say, show me the diff between the show me the
two changes.
Show me the diffs of this agent, and then that would cause a stateboard change that was active, like it was called by the bot, and the bot filled out the parameters, which are like, commits and fucking other annoying, inhumane things.
Right.
And then now you're like, oh yeah, okay. And so that's sort of an example where you might want to draw a stateboard that had nested components. So you'd first of all have you'd have a viewer that did diffs, and then under that it showed the agent viewer of whatever was selected by the diff viewer, because the agent viewer is specialized to interpret the agent files, but the diff viewer is specialized in diffs between text. And so that's an example where the user would benefit from having both of those composed in front of them so that they can see the diffs line by line, but they can also see the fully friendly rendered file.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So yeah, I just getting at the point. That's a jitter. That's a just-in-time assembled thing.
Which I thought just occurred to me. So let's reduce it to a button. And the button is just in time. It gets rendered and so on. But then in your own head, you're thinking that button does this. But actually, you've also gone on and chatted, and the button action has actually changed. So, for example, can you delete this file?
Yeah, but what's the problem with that though?
The problem is that it might be ambiguous in the user's meat brain. Say you've
without an example. Tell me the meaning.
The problem is ambiguous in it may be ambiguous in the user's head what a button actually does.
But the button has a description that came with it.
Yeah, but the button also has the payload, right?
Right, but the payload relates to... Are you saying that the button might have changed since...
Yeah.
If the button changed, then...
Any different.
Well, that's a poorly designed button prompt then. Because if the button changed, then the description of it should have changed. The button would not change without a stateboard show function call having occurred. So in the message history, you'd be able to see that there was a prior stateboard change that made this button that looks very similar, and then now there's this new stateboard change that occurred that must have updated something, and if it still looks like a button, then you're like, oh, the button must have changed.
Yeah, okay. I think yes. Okay, I can see that point because there's some level of responsibility on the user here.
Yeah, this thing is actually really doing my head in. Like I think I got it, but man, this is the piece where all the complexity just exploded. It's like bang, suddenly, we got branches, we got repos, we got commit history, and we got file paths, and now we've got this visual representation of all that stuff, and now the user can use the stateboard to go wandering off in all these different dimensions whilst the chat is happening over here, and then do stuff that now influences the chat.
The weird thing is, from the other side of the barrel, all the complexity is reducing.
Yeah, because it's become my problem. That's why.
It's like, I had loads of tabs and cut and paste and then into files.
Oh, wait, so you're saying the switchboard is actually remarkably useful to you?
It's incredibly useful, which is, it's like real high five time when I was using it. And it's like, I know it's like rough edges and so on, but so much better than what I was doing previously.
Really? Yeah. Gosh, man, I would never have picked that. I was about to turf the thing. I was like, this thing fucking sucks.
No, the complexity is collapsed because it's like, I'm in a work session. Right, okay. What I did, which was what generated the errors, was like, went into long thread and was saying, right, okay, so what agents do I have? Okay, right, what I want to do is to create a new bot. I'm going to call it Dreamcatcher. And it's like, you want create a bot. Okay, so you're now in create a bot. Create a bot does its thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's saying, can you have your business rules? Yes, I do. It's like, put it in the business rules. And it's like, boom. It's like, okay, now you have a system prompt. It's like, can I run that system prompt? Sure. Run a system prompt. And it's like, now we're talking to Dreamcatcher.
Oh, do you want to do that right now? Because now you've got create. Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, because it didn't get quite through that.
That is actually remarkable that you find long thread useful. I didn't
okay,
see
so
that.
I'll start with let's just instantiate it to make sure it's working. Oh, I'm not sharing.
How rude.
X. Sure. Yeah, this is what generated the error. So that maybe they're still there. They're like, hi. Yeah. Okay. Hello. What would you like to do today? I've got a bunch business rules for something called Dream Catcher. I need to make a sys prompt. Oh, a busy bar would be really useful because loading. Here we go.
I did fix that for you.
Okay, now, right. There you go. Now we're in CreatorBot. It's like, it's, I have, I'm going to ignore the questions because it's a well-behaved bot. I have the following business rules. Okay. Sorry. Typing in PR just makes you look like an idiot. Okay, now I'll go back to that's Dreamcatcher. No, it's Dreamcatcher bot. Dreamcatcher business rules. These are the raw business rules. Unchanged from last time. Copy. Boom. Okay. Eat that. Oh, here you go. Thank you for providing it. Identity, yes. ER, oh, okay. Permissions, definitions. Yep. This foundation structure, please review and confirm. I'm just going to ignore. I'm not going to read it. Just going to, yes. Dump bot is at least prioritization. Poor dump bot. Well, it's the adults talking now. You shut up and sit in the corner.
Shut your face.
Here's the updated. There you go. Boom. Okay. Yep. Okay. That doesn't look. Please review. I need to put into CreatorBot that kind of 3-level thing, but check again. This doesn't look complete. So all of this I've been doing in multiple tabs, going backwards and forwards.
Oh, I see. Oh my God, you poor man. That must have been terrible.
And this is
and
awesome.
then it just
You see what I'm
happens
saying?
all in one.
Yeah.
Just in. Oh, I get it. Okay. Hey,
It's like,
winning.
thank you for your patience. Let's do
Yes.
it.
Okay.
Like, there you go.
fine.
Okay, right. It's like,
Hang on. Damn you.
okay.
Huh.
This is actually awesome. And I know it's got rough edges, right? But
Does
then now there'd be various other things I would do and actually reading it and so on. But if you take this system prompt and save
and shove it
into the file agents dreamcatcher.md. This is the bit where it went wrong last time. Let's see if OpenAI manages it.
Oh, that you want it needs to use CreatorBot for that.
Well, I was just asking because the interesting thing is I just
'Cause
want
it's
the
not-
most expert thing.
Yeah. So you could now ask for
There you go.
CreatorBot to read it in
Yeah.
and then write it back out so that it does the format check.
Then I say add summarize what dream. Let's be fair on it. Agents, Dreamcatcher. Yeah. MD is 4. Okay, so this is the definition.
You spelled Dreamcatcher wrong.
Yeah, I know, but most because of the AIs, it's like okay, it defines okay. Actually, that's too low level. No.
Oh, so you could even do the description right here, where you just asked it to do the description, and then you're like, now, write this to
That's exactly
the
what I'm
file.
doing.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's like,
You poor dude. I'm so sorry. Like, yeah, God, that must have been an awful time.
Yeah.
So I can see you're going to be quite addicted to this then, because that's a huge win from your side.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's all in one place, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you can get that that accidental win of having a unique URL each time.
Yeah. I think I finally got you hooked on this thing, hey?
Yeah.
Finally got you hooked.
Is, okay, so I've asked it for I've just gone to create a bot, created a system prompt, asked for a description, and then the next thing would be files, add that to the end of my list of available agents, and then I'll go, I want to talk to Dreamcatcher, and then boom, all in the same session. It's nice. It is absolutely ballser.
You went quiet. Are you not going to do that?
Oh, well, yeah. The only problem is I need a couple more bots to do the description properly.
Why?
But let's just do it.
Just do it. Screw it.
Okay. All right.
So you wanna force it to use CreatorBot though. So I noticed you added a stickiness ability within Switchboard. You definitely wanna not use the files bot, use the CreatorBot, because that knows how to read and write agent files correctly.
Yep. But I can do that inside of CreatorBot. But CreatorBot has not been told to do that yet. But I can work around that by saying files and I'm not sure if we'll do this. And that last response as an available agent into agent on the end of agents. I've not tried this. This might not work. Switchboard MD in the same format as the other agents. Okay, because NL is all about being messy, including getting the name of the file wrong. You can switch. What's it switch to? Switchboard and switch. Good. Think about it. What's it done? Oh, I think I'm in a loop. Oh. Am I in a loop?
No, you're done. Just waiting for you now.
Nope. So. No, can't do it. It's not done yet.
What's it calling? Can you show me what agent it's selected?
Where do you want to go?
Stop. Agent files. What did you? It's calling files, but what's it trying to do?
Your files.
It just keeps switching to files and then calling files.
Damn it.
Yeah, that it ended up in a loop there. I don't know what happened.
What I was trying to do is I was trying to get switchboard to update itself so I could use Dreamcatcher. So Dreamcatcher was written. I got the description. I wanted to update switchboard. Actually, if we offload it to another file, which is the installed apps, then that probably wouldn't have happened. So I think the loop there is I was trying to get switchboard to update its to go to files to update switchboard. But every time files, we went to files, update switchboard, back to switchboard, back to files, switchboard, back to files. I think that was a loop.
That sucks. Seemed close though.
No. Honestly, this is like absolute revelation. Love this. Love
Awesome. That's really cool.
You know what I'm saying? It's rough at the edges. Fine. Not a problem. I'll be breaking it a lot. But the path I was trying to go through there is just with a fresh thread. I want to create Dreamcatcher. Okay. You're going to go to CreatorBot. CreatorBot knows all about how to create system bots. Okay, I've got some rules. I'm going to dump that in. Okay, now give me a description of that. And save Dreamcatcher. Which, actually... and I refreshed it, so it's going to be on. So it's like save Dreamcatcher to agents, and then make agents available to switchboard, and then let's use Dreamcatcher.
Seems awful close, buddy.
Seems bloody close, doesn't it? Except for probably some like meat brain problem with my prompting. And I'll probably offload the description thing to a separate bot. But other than that, pretty damn close.
Yeah. If you give me just maybe 5 minutes or less, I'll give you a better UI.
Yeah, go for it. Actually, I'll take this as a comfort break, and I'll be back in 5.
Okie dokie.
All right.
Hey,
Yo, back. Yeah, we're doing it. The thing that most struck me using it
Yep.
is how easy it is to switch context of the thing that you're working on,
right.
and then back to the place that you're working on it with.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
So here's.
that's- you're not displaying. I don't see anything.
I wasn't ready yet, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, no worries.
so the switch in context is the benefit for you primarily, where you can what previously you had to. It was quite heavy for you to make a new agent and carry over your working and all that, but now it's just like bam, 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 like instantly.
Yeah, and sorry, yeah, in the one context window in your own train of thought, and that's the important thing. Your own train of thought. It's like, okay, here's what I'm doing. I'm doing
Okay.
backwards and forwards, and I've got the thread there. It's like now it's deployed. Okay, let's use it. Okay, using
Right.
and then
Right.
okay, you can. I think probably just do this through files, where you say, okay, so dump that thread back into the CreatorBot, and it's like, let's work on this. That's not quite right. And you go, oh, here's a new system prompt. Okay, write the file again. Okay, now into
All right. So
a new bot.
that's sounds absolutely awesome. Win for us. I didn't.
Yeah, I don't get excited very often, so
Yeah.
I enjoy it when it happens.
Okay. So what I figured out for this, that story that you gave me for doing the test loop, that feels like that is actually a monster of a story when I dig into it, because the amount of stuff that has to happen in order for you to be able to be in your pristine environment, start up a target environment or sandbox, control what's happening in that sandbox, make some tweaks, modifications, whatever, call the testing suite to run it, ingest the output of those tests back into the pristine environment to make modifications to the sandbox, repeat, PR up, pull request up to master, then push out all the changes to all the child branches and all the other actors in the system, and then have everyone silently upgrade while they're running, and then do that until we're old.
Yep.
That's a pretty heavy story. But
And
the good news is...
it's the home run, though, isn't it? It's a bot factory. But also it's a bot factory, and we haven't talked for a while about a system that's beyond one bot. So at the moment, using CreatorBot, and then testing back to CreatorBot and so on.
Right.
If you've got more than one bot, some of which are drones, having that testing loop and being able to do that in a way that, all the tests are run, you get back a probability, you're going, it's five nines. Now you've got a bot factory that can do production stuff.
Yeah, so it's a very fruitful exercise. That basically, if you can do that loop, I fail to see anything that we've ever talked about that you can't do or can't achieve by using that loop to build the thing that you want. The features included in that story is everything. So I don't know what the name is for a story that includes every possible feature.
It's called Odin.
Yeah, Odin.
But yeah, that story. We've been hammering at it for a few months now. I can't.
It's surprisingly long time.
And I can't add or delete to that story.
Yeah, I should take some solace in the fact that it is actually, despite the labor being unexpectedly long, we do have a target. Like that's the target has appeared.
It's your comment a few weeks ago about who was the first one to make a precision machine to make precision machines.
I know. It's that problem, and that problem
How'd
sucks.
you do that? So it's reasonable that it's hard, but once you've done it, it's like, yeah, let's make an F-25 or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the additions that I had for you there, crumbs. I'm just trying to pull it up so I can show it to you better. What I think is happening in a part of that story is that you are controlling the sandbox target environment. And so how I want to present that to you, I think that takes over what used to be called backchat. And the way I'll do it is oh no, did I delete backchat from the whole thing? Oh, that's lame. Oh, sucks.
You got grumpy about backchat.
Well, we didn't. Oh no, I renamed it. I renamed it as deferred. That's right. So this deferred thread, and I'm open to playing name games to get a better name for it. When you're in your pristine environment, you're over here. You're in basic. Just ignore the colors. They were there for me, not you. You're here. You're chatting away. You're doing your thing, right?
Yeah.
Then when you get to the point where you say, I want to work on oh god, my brain. Dreamcatcher agent in a sandbox.
Yep.
When you say that, it like sets up the sandbox, turns off automatic updates because it's like you probably don't want the system to automatically patch your agent list while you're working on an agent. That would be frustrating, I imagine. And then ultimately you're like, write me a prompt for this thing. It writes it into the agent file, and then you go, now let me chat with it. And that is the point where this pops up and it goes ta-da, and this is now the thread in the sandbox environment, and you are here being like, hello, Franken agent. How old are you? Right? And this is, you are now talking to this thing, and this is the place where you would say, help, M, get me out of here, right? And that's where the if you weren't able to navigate using the UI and just do that, which is what you should be able to do, then M will kick in and will get you out of this thread that's gone rogue.
Yep.
Right?
But
so
also, if it's sorry, go on. Finish your thought.
So this deferred thread or remote thread is the same as what would come up when you're using Hammer. It's basically to say that this is not the base thread. This is some remote thread or some other thread, and M is watching to pull you out if you need it, but, go for your life, or the user can just click cross and get back to the base thread. And that's how you would, because when that deferred thread pops up, like, it's going to come with the stateboard and everything as well. So the stateboard's within this modal display, and when you drop that, you go back to your base thread stateboard as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this is the dev environment, right? So it's
Yeah,
like, create me a dev environment
yeah.
where I'm not
And
going
so
to mess anyone else around.
that's right. And then it lets you chat with it, and you can do whatever you want, and you can come back to your pristine thread, and you can say, okay, start me a new thread that was garbage, and then do it again,
Yeah.
and then edit
Now
it,
here's
and
now here's
yeah,
the thing. When I'm off on the dev environment,
yeah,
like a target machine, like a SNES or something,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you come back. You want to say, well, that didn't go down well, did it? I totally fucked up.
yeah,
What do you think? And it knows about what's happening in what happened in the dev environment. The dev
yes.
environment is just it, and it's like, well,
It can
maybe
read
you
it.
could improve this
Yeah,
prompt by doing that. It's like, let's give that a go.
yeah,
Boom,
yeah, yeah. And
into
then
a
you
fresh
should be able to
environment.
say something like, now rerun my session with this new prompt, and it would go
Oh, that would
and
be
do,
awesome. That
yeah.
would be awesome.
And
Yeah,
then you
yeah,
say something like, now turn my prompt into a test file.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then you basically, you're off at that point, right?
yeah. So you create the test file, and then you run the tests, and then it's like, oh, some have failed. Right, back into dev, back out, back in,
Yeah,
out. Oh, test passed. Right, now to staging, as
yeah,
in effectively a PR. It's
yeah,
like
yep. Or
suggesting
you're
that the
like,
script.
publisher stuck. Like, I've
Yeah,
now got a
exactly.
scenario that fails well.
Yeah,
Push it.
exactly. And I think this is good. And you go into staging, and the staging runs out against any dependencies, does whatever it needs to do in order to make sure that anyone is using this or is this help, say, is embedded in something else.
Hmm.
Let's run all those tests. That's quite expensive. So you go to staging, run all the expensive tests, and it's like passes them.
Hmm.
Great. Now it's available to be used.
Yeah,
Doesn't pass them. You go back to your environment, going, right. So I just broke this thing over here.
yeah,
Was that me? Okay, right. Let's try this again. Into dev, back, staging. Run all the integration tests. Pass. Production. There you go. Anyone can use
yeah,
this.
yeah,
And because of that cycle, um, and this is, I've yet to find, and I've been looking, anyone looking at how to have more than one or even maybe two bots inside of a bank, where it's really important. How do you make any changes? You could make it, you could snapshot it at the start, and it works, but stuff changes. Laws change, guidelines change, all sorts of things can fuck it up. How do you test whether if you've got 100 bots working together and you're actually trying to get this bot to do something else because it's done something erroneous, how do you
mm,
know? How do you know that you've not broken anything else? And it's that cycle: dev back,
yeah,
staging, big tests, production. There you go. And all of that also notably is in NL. Now, touching on line of code. Now, if you want to add a line of code, fine.
mm,
You've got your unit tests for the code.
yeah,
The code advertises what it does,
yep,
and then you go back saying, "Oh, I've got this new isolate that I can use over here." Right, I'm going to tell this bot about this isolate, but then it's exactly the same cycle. It's like I'm going
yep,
to add this, make this bot aware of this isolate. Test run, staging, production. That is a factory.
yep. Okay, so it seemed to me that the stateboard was essential to achieving that story. That's why you find me here with a sort of a working stateboard,
Yeah,
because without the stateboard, that cycle is too difficult to manage.
yeah. Well, it's
Um,
impossible. It's like trying to debug code without a debugger
mm,
that tells you where it's broken.
yeah, that's right. So I am unhappy at how complex this particular story is. I am content, though, that it is a complete story, and that once the story is like I think it's going to be a hard couple of months for us, man, to get this thing going. But once we have this story bedded in, I cannot imagine anything harder than that thing. This is the factory that makes the factories. This is the the heart of it, I guess.
This is yeah, yeah. This is probably why it's a head scratcher.
Yeah, that really threw me for six. It looks so simple when you just say it, and you're like, oh yeah. Then you load up the div environment, and then you change the things, and then you run the test, and then you check it.
Yeah,
It's
but
not a hard.
compare what people are doing at the moment. You know, you can write your code that says, okay, these agents can talk to each other and so on. Then you run the code, okay, and then you get all the output. You can see all the chat. Fine. Then you go back and tweak, and it's like, right, it's done. So let's put it into production. But the key is, once it's in production, people are relying on certain functionality. And so it would be a brave man who would actually change anything. It's just like a porcelain doll. It's like, don't touch it. Oh, shit, the law's just changed. And
Right.
we need to, or
Right,
we've got this
but-
new utility we need to
Right.
add in.
I know. But where we need to get to is the fact that even the AI can make changes to it based on changing information or just grinding.
Well, yeah,
then-
because the AI, I think probably would be capable, or an AI would be capable of putting up to staging. It's like, hey, I've just discovered a new way of improving this, and it's now in staging. And then probably you need a human to say, okay, let me check this, because, you know, you got 3 nines, you need 5 nines. Do we really care about that? You push that into production. But definitely being able to self-improve itself up to staging. See no problem with that at all. The only reason I'm putting in that caveat is production is where the money is, and people lose jobs, and people get grumpy, and all that stuff. But you can propose something that is self-coherent, is correct and complete, and includes a change. And the proposal is the staging. It's like, yeah, okay, that's nice. That happened overnight. I didn't even think about that.
Right.
And nobody hit a single keystroke.
No one touched it. All right, so here's the latest UI for you. Hopefully it loads without crashing, because I didn't normally check it as thoroughly as I would have, because you were sitting here waiting. Oh dear, that's awful.
It's very communist.
It really is. I didn't mean it to be like that. Let me just quickly go in here and fix that. Sorry, my bad. My bad.
It matters not, Jot. Don't worry. You don't have to change it.
There you go. Done. So, some extra things for you. You now get this thing as a button, and when you click it, you get to the repo.
Can I use them? That's very
Yeah, sort of. This says this is the branch path that you're at. So that's sort of this is the main branch, and then this is your actor ID, or a short version, just so it displays nice. The full version is shown in the tooltip. That's your cryptographically secure actor ID, and then your thread ID. Again, cryptographically secure, but I'm starting to wonder why the thread needs to be so long. And now you're in the latest switchboards. So show me my files.
Okay, right. Now,
There you go. Look, it did stateboard show.
we did it.
But I haven't hooked that. It didn't show, but it did show. It tried to show.
Why? Why does it?
Because I didn't hook up the logic that turns on the stateboard out on the side there.
Oh, I see.
My bad.
All right, yeah. But the reasoning was correct. I did.
Yeah. The function was right. It did the actual LS so it could know what was there, and simultaneously using a parallel tool call, it called stateboard show, and so
Yeah, just
and it
dropped the
even
ball at the last moment.
sort of knows how to be nice about it. Feel free,
To be honest, I wish it would stop topping tailing.
but it's not when it's doing function calls. It doesn't matter. This is just it's sort of
Yeah, exactly. That's the way you get. Now the big one is, if I can ask, is that what you got with the HALs in terms of the URL, because that would be very helpful.
You mean what? Sorry.
You know when you go to L3 Dreamcatcher,
Yeah.
and then it goes like crypto, then you can save that URL. And then you can go back to that URL.
Yeah, you just went. Yeah. Okay, I'll get you that.
Bizarrely, that is one of the best features.
Top requested feature.
The
Okay,
entire thing. It's like so useful because because it saves a hell of a lot of effort.
okay, I'll do that for you, man. I'm thrilled that switchboard was useful for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen next. Okay, so my next piece of work, I'm going to work on using the switchboard to create other bots. I think that'll be an interesting piece. And I'm also going to try and mess with switchboard as much as I could possibly can to try and make it break. What I predict, weirdly, is there's going to be quite rapid progress with switchboard. When switchboard gets quite tight, we're going to be able to do quite a lot of stuff, and then it's kind of a bit over to your side in terms of commits, for example, from working in long threads, and I create a bot. What I want to do is to publish that, which goes through that testing thing. I think that's the next thing, and there's lots of bits and pieces around your side. But I can, believe me, you've made my life about an order of magnitude easier, just already.
Sweet.
And so I can continue to do the cut and paste stuff in order to make up the gap for now. That's absolutely fine, but it's a lot easier to do it in one. But I think probably the next thing is I'll try and break it. I'll come back with you with stuff that is weird or simply wrong, and I'll do that by trying to build arbitrary bots, just single bots, and then run the bots and see what happens. And that's probably good enough for 1 day's worth of work.
Cool.
But yeah, it's my feeling is the pace of change is going to be quite fast on this side now. Now we've got all these.
Yeah, well, even the switchboard you showed me tonight is like worlds better than the switchboard we started with. I'm like, oh, that's. I actually had a task there that I just deleted, which was to remove switchboard from the current thing because I couldn't get anything done with it. But the switchboard you've given me is perfectly fine.
Yeah, and interesting enough, that system prompt. Used switchboard to improve itself, and it just kind of pasted it so that we could, I could put it into GitHub through the old traditional way. But yeah, we're cooking on gas.
All right, sweet. Okay, so are there any other topics for you to cover? I'd like to do a complete change to something different if there's nothing else from you.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
For some reason, my screen has got really large. I'm going to get rid of that. Come on, handset. Why are you doing that?
What are you doing? Okay. Alrighty. So, I found the thing. Let me show you the thing.
Okay. it's a disgusting confectionery that you've got up there. What is that about? Biscuity? Is it biscuity or something? What is that?
Found a thing. So this tool is a little pendant that you wear, and it's an open source piece of hardware that's made out of Arduino type kits that you add together.
Yeah.
It's got a little battery. It can run for 24 hours. It hooks up to this Android app, which is also open source, which uses DeepGram and OpenAI to transcribe everything that is being said with speaker diarization.
Oh, man.
So that all day, every day.
Oh, God. Oh, that would be brilliant.
And then it starts hooking up.
Is this vaporware, or is this available?
This is available right now. And I know all the parts that went into it. Like, they've open sourced their hardware. I can see the parts that went in it. And I'm like, oh, those are great parts to choose. Those are ones that I'd looked at. But the thing I was looking at was a lot more complex, because I thought that you needed quite high quality sound capture. But as it turns out, I think what they've done is that they just take it all in, because they're actually trying to capture all the conversations that you're in. And so things like beamforming and direction of arrival are less useful to a pendant than they are to a desktop app. My dream is that one day I can turn up to meet you in person, drop down a puck that looks like Alexa, and that's basically talking to the Dreamcatcher, and it's got, all the fancy things. But this thing, in the meantime, presents us with a very interesting addition to what we're doing.
That is really interesting. So basically, it's transcoding your speech while its battery's there to, I assume, somewhere.
Yes.
To your phone, right?
Well, yeah, it uses your phone, and then they've got this app, and what they appear to be doing is something very similar to what we're trying to do. They've also got a little app store for bots, where you can make your own bot and put it up there, and it can sort of add on, different types of things. But more interestingly, what I want to talk about,
Sorry, go on.
what I want to talk about with you, so these guys they did this on a Kickstarter, and they started, they sell the hardware. That they've in their GitHub repo, they've got all these issues with money tagged on them. So like here it's like docs improvement, $100 a month. They basically, see here, connect Friend V2's onboard memory to the Omni app, $2,000. They're trying to run like the Dreamcatcher.
Yeah, they are. Interesting.
Right? Apple Watch integration, $2,000. So they've got Stucks with bounties is what we would call them, right? And so they're trying to be Dreamcatcher, but just using GitHub. And they also don't have ambient attribution or any of those things. I mean, we don't either, but the point is that...
Well, they even code a bounty, interestingly enough.
Yeah, well, it's, I mean, yeah.
Well,
so...
Yeah. It's a convergence of ideas, which is always...
now, the hardware that they've made is very difficult, because they had to make some firmware. I mean, it's time-consuming, but it's not rocket science. The Android app that they made is a nice app. It runs nice. It pairs with the device. They've got an iOS one as well. We know that prompting is hard, and we know that backends for prompting are hard. We also know that backends that are open data are very hard. And so these guys have opened everything except the backend they made is basically a bunch of Python functions. So what I wonder if we couldn't do is go to them and say, look, you guys are doing prompting, we're doing prompting. You guys are trying to experiment with all these different ways of interpreting people's input. We know that's hard, you know that's hard. You want to give people control over their data because that's your point of difference in a world where everyone's trying to make these hardware devices that capture and imprison people's data to extract revenues out of them for a subscription. You're trying to be open. You're trying to pay people in an open community. You know, we're trying to do that. We could... I just wonder if our rate of improvement is going to be fast enough that we could pitch to these guys to say, look, why don't you switch over to us or we switch over to you or something, because, you know, we got some bits that we know are going to be very hard for you to make, like a back end that's portable. Very hard.
Well, there's like a couple of things immediately come to mind. That they are obviously come up with a similar idea, as in, well, they're not doing this through funding. This is all crowdfunding. And it's like, here's a thing that we could do, and here's a bounty. So already they're thinking along the same lines. Same
Spirit. Same spirit.
Right, exactly. Now, we can add in attribution. I suspect that
they'll be into it.
Dead into it, yeah.
Everyone's into it. Like, no one's not into that.
Well, yeah. We'll yet to see. But probably people who've made, millions.
No poor people. I've never met a poor person that isn't into fairness.
Yeah. You got a t-shirt made on that one. So let's talk to these guys. Now, whether we're at the right stage, whether they're at the right stage to make that happen, I think
we're out. I think we're at the perfect stage. These guys have just got off the ground. We're about to, and I think
there could be a confluence here. Yeah.
Yeah, because what you're telling me is that the rate of change is about to go through the roof. I didn't realize it, but I just gave you a massive performance boost today. Yeah. I was like, I fucking hate my life, this fucking thing. And then it turns out that was a 10 times increase in how you get things done. So that's awesome.
So yeah, let's talk to these guys. Because at the very least, they will have insights that we can use. We will have insights, I'm sure, that they can use. So why not? And their ethos is the same. I'm guessing. I don't know.
It smells the same, dude. Right? It smells the same,
it does.
And it's also they've sort of been they've had to define themselves as the open guys because the closed source AI space is pretty covered. All the VCs wrap that one up real quick.
Yeah,
and so the only
1604 guys.
Yeah. So
where are they?
Where are they? Let me try to find that for you. Can I show you their
Yeah, I can find out. I'll do a wee bit of a kind of open source Judo.
Yeah, they did what that OpenAI pin did, but they did it. They did it in an open way. Sorry, my brain's like a bit baked at the moment.
Yeah, the bottom line is, I actually quite like one of these, even if it's a bit scratchy and doesn't.
These are the guys. Like, they're young, dude.
Close they are to actually realizing that, but price
the last 2 weeks, Trend became the largest open source AI wearable community in the world, With thousands of builders, we now see how much value it can bring into your daily life.
From a real-time language translator, to a music learning assistant, to the ultimate audio notes experience. Our open platform and thriving community allows anybody to bring their ideas to life. Starting today, you can pre-order Friend on Kickstarter for just $39. We're excited to see what the community can build using.
Join us and let's build together.
Okay, so I'm guessing a couple of things here. Right. So what they've got is an audio capture. No idea the quality of their hardware, about the veracity of that, and so on.
The hardware is practically being sold at cost, dude. Like I'll show you the hardware. This is it here. These things you buy online for I think that's like $12, and that's like $15 or something, and that's like $10 worth of battery and whatever. And then you basically put all these
step by step for building your own.
Well, these are the parts they're using. Seed Studio. Seed Studio is a popular place to get these kinds of boards from.
Yeah, I know Seed. Yeah.
Because I got into this because I wanted to make this device, and I ended up looking at Seed Studio components, and the thing I came up with was like about that big type of thing, and then I was like, oh no, I found this e-ink smartphone that I was like, that probably does it just as well, and I can make a shitty app that runs on it. And then I found these guys, and I was like, oh, that's sort of
yeah. I mean, that looks like step by step a hobbyist could go out, buy their own components, sew it together, or if you can't be arsed, buy it for $49. So what I'm assuming is that unit is just audio capture and Bluetooth. Then there's the app. The app takes the raw audio and then does transcription. That's easy enough. Everyone does that. Now, the interesting thing to talk to them about is, sure, you could record every moment of your day for the next 10 years, but how are you going to get intelligent answers back? Because you need that kind of multi-bot summarization.
They've got that. They've got multi-bot going. I just don't know where to pull it up, but
that's really cool.
Yeah, when you play with the app, if you have a go with the app, you'll see how it works. It's got multiple bots, and you can add new ones in.
And so it's storing everything in text. I'm assuming it's throwing away the audio, because that would be very expensive.
It bins the audio, and then it just handles the transcription, but it does diarization, so it can recognize speakers, and the app lets you store voice profiles. So, what I learned about voice diarization is that you can actually vectorize your voice and treat it like an embedding, just like you treat a text embedding, and so that you can that's what you use to recognize from speaker to speaker to speaker. Yeah.
How's that done?
Well, I don't know, but that's it's the same.
It's possible.
No. That's how it's working under the hood. Like, I don't know how the text embeddings are created, but I know that when they come out, they're like several, like a range of like 200 and something dimensions with different vector values. People are doing the same thing with voice. It's just all vectors, and So
there's many interesting things.
One of the things that they're selling is like so they charge you $90 an hour, and they'll do customizations of hardware for you. They also have this $50,000 white label package that lets you, if you want to make or white label their hardware and use the software that they've written, they'll sell it to you as well. So I guess this is how they're planning to make more money rather than just the hardware. But we should get in with these guys, because we're all trying to do.
It's very similar, but I think they're missing a few points. So if you think about in really gross terms, how the brain works. It's like, okay, so you got the short-term memory, then you got long-term memory, and then you got, it's almost like, memes where your long-term memory actually triggers additional memories and so on. And if you have that much, if you were to record everything we were saying for a year, that would be impossible for a bot to actually make any real sense with. And so then it needs to be some chunking down.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Is where the value is. It's like, well, it's just, to go back a few months, my idea was like, it's my wife's birthday coming up. What did I do last year, and how do I make it better this year?
So we know that where they're going to hit a lot of issues is how to solve those kinds of problems.
Right.
And we know that slows everybody down. But on the other side, things that speed them up is new models are arriving every few months. And so some of their faults, they'll keep getting boosted along. But either way, like, we think we're on to the key problem or speeding up the key problem.
Well, the key problem really comes down to the testing. So let's take my previous example. If I say, what did I buy my wife for our last birthday? What I don't want is a response saying, oh, yeah, you were having an affair at that point, and here's what you bought her. It's like, that would be bad. That would be bad. So that testing loop is really important for the veracity of the data, which probably, I'm imagining that they've got transcription, and I'm sure they've got a few bots there, and an app store and so on. But everything we've been talking about on this call is necessary if people are going to trust it.
Trust is the main thing we're selling, actually, because we're like, it's a fully portable backend that we offer.
Right. Yeah. So the bottom line is, let's get them on the blower. Let's talk to these guys and find out, and by the looks of them, they're probably in California, unfortunately.
They smell like Europe, dude. They smell like Europe.
Really?
Yeah. Really? Let's try to find them.
I mean, ideally, they'll be like Estonia. I love Estonia. Those guys are way ahead of the rest of the world, but they're just small.
Hey, this is what else we got to do as well. They got an invest tab, so we should have like an invest agent in HAL, and all they're doing is just gathering interest and seeing, like, how much do you want to invest. We should just do that at the start, at least, right? And just see who's interested.
We probably need to do more marketing than just putting out a YouTube channel. She looks European, I think.
She looks like a movie star as well, just like he does.
Okay. Well, do you want me to do that? Because I'm at the start of the day. I can reach out. Or you can do it.
San Fran. Stink.
I told you. Told you. Yeah, they were just too happy for the rest of the world.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I mean, look, I think we don't have time to talk to anyone at the moment except for OpenAI. And I think we're at that awkward stage where we're getting close to a big deal, and the noise just spikes, and it actually delays us from punching through to the other side. We got to stay focused on the fact that we are building a tool that leverages what AI can do for us first. Then we can open the floodgates and everyone can come in and whatever.
You're right, because I think there is there's a shit ton of work, but very, very useful work with accelerating benefits coming.
It's right. Like, I mean, if I can accidentally give you 10 times increase, like, think of the things that we can get, like, once we get testing and stuff up, how much faster it could be. Like the key that we got to stick to is actually this thing. We're trying to make that last one happen, and until we have it, we should ignore all the noise, because I don't care what people are telling me a product should be. I don't care. I'm making it for us because we can use it to do far more work than ever before. And I don't care what people tell me about what they want it to do, right? I want it to do everything in my life, and I can see a path that we can get there. And we should just shut our eyes and get to that, and then open the doors. Because, once you get me the email agent, where you and I can sit here and chat, and it drafts an email or a message to these guys in San Fran, rather than us trying to write there, and then the response comes in and it's already been digested.
But even better, we don't write an email to them. We give them a bot that has a discussion that they can talk to, introduce itself, and says, "Here's why I'm here. We want to talk to you about this. Chat to us." Anyway, yes. Basically, I hate email, but if you talk to, it's like someone turning up at your door and saying, "I'd like to talk to you about this." It's like, why? Right, okay, well, why? Or sending a piece of junk mail.
Yeah.
But this is good. I totally get this. There's that instance. I think it was back in the 1984 Olympics, where I think it was the 400 meters run. The guy lost because at the last moment he looked around to see who was following him, and by looking around, he wasn't running forward, and this other guy just took the gold from him. Why did you look around?
Shame. Yeah, it doesn't matter. This is one of those weird cases where I think we can ignore the rules, not look around, and just build this bit, because we know that, with how working as we imagine, we could do the work of 5 people, but without the coordination headache. And then once we work with that a bit, give it a couple of months, now we're able to do the work of 15 people. It just goes on and on. So yeah, we should just get this system up, and we should get that CRM deployed down in Hamilton, because that's where the testing needs to go to. Is there anything you can think of that can help move the CRM forwards a bit, just with the little extra bit that you got from Switchboard?
Sure. So where left the CRM, we've got the ERD-based rules.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of a bit sparse, because I was guessing a lot of them. But with where we're at with Longthread at the moment, I can start pulling in and refining the test creation. Remember a few weeks ago saying I got so far, and then you got so far, and it's like on the tests we're almost there.
Yeah.
I could push that over much faster now into your realm, in
Okay.
terms of structure. That'll probably be if we're. Oh, actually, no, that is exactly the thing we should be doing, because while doing that, I'm going to expose all sorts of interesting stuff of actually using Longthread.
Yeah,
But
dude, do that.
Discipline is to use Longthread to do it.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because it might work, or it probably won't work in some areas, but
Yeah.
workarounds, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that.
That's what we want.
Yeah. Nice. I like this this thing. Introverts with AI. Not so much introvert, it's just basically dudes with AI.
Dudes with AI, right? It's like augmented humans. And if we can get our augmented system up quicker, then we can use it for promotion, crowdfunding, advertisements, the website we can put up, all that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, what I suggest is I'm just bloody well going to do it then.
Okay.
And what we'll do? How do you want when stuff happens? And it's like, I did work, or
just some.
Would you want? Would you want to put it?
If you just give me a screenshot and then give me a screenshot and chuck it on WhatsApp, and I'll get to it when I get to work tomorrow.
What we'll be doing? Sorry, go on.
Also, if you can leave the tab open, it allows you to access what the thread was. You know, like I showed you in the console, where you can copy the thread out. Yeah. And so I might need that later, for the first little while until I figure out how to get some decent debugging in there.
Cool. And for the avoidance of doubt, if I have two threads in different tabs, those don't interfere with each other, do they?
Correct. They are. Soon they will be able to interfere with each other. That is a feature coming soon.
Okay. But at the moment, if I have two threads, as far as
completely independent.
Concerns, got it. Brilliant. Okay. So, well, that's all for me, I think.
Okay, buddy.
It's quite a lot.
Yeah. Cool. I'm stoked that this is a benefit to you directly. That was a most pleasant surprise.
It was so much easier.
Yeah.
I could have wept.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Right, well, I guess I'll see you tomorrow when we compare notes again. It's going to be, again, we're in the mud now, so it's going to be muddy.
All right, I'll stop the recording.